welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another YouTube video. But this time, we're doing something completely different. We are only going to switch to religious music, religious videos, religious messages, and it's going to be called Tuesdays with God. I'm going to be trying to post a video every Tuesday, so stay with the channel, because every Tuesday, we got a video coming straight for you about how the message of Jesus. And there's plenty of things I can do this on, but for now, we chose a song. We're going to play a song. And then we're going to jump straight into the message. This video should approximately be about 15 minutes long, depending on how long I talk, if I get too deep into the message, or how long the song is. It all depends on what things, but it's going to be like 15 to 20 minutes every Tuesday. So just sit back, grab some snack to eat, and relax, and listen in to Tuesdays with God, starring your favorite YouTuber. Previously a gaming YouTuber, but now has completely changed his life and wants to make a message. So sit back and relax and enjoy the song.
Sound asleep and too afraid of what might show up while you're dreaming. Nobody sees you. Nobody will believe you. And every day you try to pick up all the pieces, all the memories that somehow never leave you. Nobody sees you. Nobody will believe you. God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. God only knows how it's killing you. But there's a kind of love that God only knows. God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. But God only knows the real you. There's a kind of love that God only knows. You keep a cover over every single secret, so afraid if someone told them they would leave. But somebody sees you. Somebody will never leave you. God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. God only knows how it's killing you. But there's a kind of love that God only knows. God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. But God only knows the real you. There's a kind of love that God only knows. For the lonely, for the ashamed, the misunderstood and the ones to blame. What if we could start over? We could start over. We could start over. Oh, for the lonely, for the ashamed, the misunderstood and the ones to blame. What if we could start over? We could start over. We could start over. 'Cause there's a kind of love that God only knows. God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. But God only knows the real you. There's a kind of love that God only knows. God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. But God only knows the real you. There's a kind of love that God only knows. God only knows where to find you. God only knows how to break through. God only knows the real you. There's a kind of love that God only knows.
Well, that was an amazing song. It was actually one of my favorite songs. And now to the message. That song though is a beautiful song. If you guys never heard that song before, it is called "God Only Knows" by For King and Country, one of the greatest bands in all of my time, all of. So I'm gonna say they're one of the greatest Christian bands out there. But now to the message: integrity for God. I gave this message to my church a few months ago, and the power of this message is just so real that I want to share it with everyone I can. I wrote this message a while back, and I just want to make sure everyone has a chance to hear it, because not only is integrity for God, the integrity a good thing, but as a military person, integrity is what builds military, what helps your battle buddies. But what if we took integrity and applied it to God? How does that affect our relationship with Christ? How does that help benefit our relationship with God? Well, today that's what we're going to go over. And so now that we're getting somewhere, this is a sermon I wrote. I wouldn't say I wrote it back in December. Yeah, I wrote it back in December. So, integrity for God. So I started this sermon out by defining what integrity is, because not a lot of people know what integrity means. So I decided to go with it. Like, what does integrity mean? So the Army looks at like integrity like do what's right, legally and morally. Integrity is a quality developing and adhering to moral principles. It requires that you do and say nothing that deceives others. As your integrity grows, so does your trust in others placed in you. The more choices you make based on integrity, the more and this highly prized value will affect your relationships with family, friends, and finally, the fundamental acceptance of yourself. So that's how the Army looks at integrity. Like, it establishes trust between you and your comrades, you and your friends, you and your families. Being able to tell the truth to your families when you did something wrong, that shows them that you're worth being trusted for. Yeah, you made a mistake. You gotta own up to it, but you owned up to that mistake, so now they can trust you to know, hey, when he makes a mistake, he's gonna say, hey, I was one that did that. I was the one who accidentally scratched the car door. I was the one who broke the window. Just having integrity is a big thing. The Google definition of integrity: a quality of being honest and having a strong moral principle, or as state of being whole and not divided. So God's kingdom is not divided. It is a whole kingdom. God did not divide his kingdom between kings. God is the one true king. He's not a divided kingdom that's always fighting each other. He is a one kingdom, no division. So we look at integrity, and I said integrity is not divided. So this defines God again by saying that integrity is something that we do not define by dividing. It's a state of being whole. You're in a whole state of mind, willing to say, I did that. So that is another way of relating it to God. So how can we help this apply? How can this apply to our relationship with God? We can apply this to our relationship with God like Job did. Job was a man of great faith. He trusted God with everything he had. He lost everything he owned. He did not curse God or even turn his back on God. He trusted God's plan and knew he would prevail in the end. So he knew he lost everything: his wife, his kids, his farm, his money, his house, his animals. He even got boils on his skin, but yet he never cursed God. His family, his friends told him to curse God, but yet he didn't. The devil was mad because he wanted to curse God. But God knew his faith was so real that he knew that Job was never going to curse him. Job 23:10 says, "But he knoweth the way that I take. He hath tried me, I shall come forth as gold." In other words, he's saying that these trials and tribulations have come to me, yes. But at the end of the day, I'm going to trust God because I know I will prevail and I will be better for it. Sorry, my nose is getting a little stuffy. Here we see Job saying that God can test me and I will come to him faithfully. That's how integrity for God works. You are willing to see the end goal and not the small picture, but what's going on in the big picture. We as Christians have to be able to stand out of the world like Job did. He went from having a lot to nothing and still was faithful and loyal servant to God. Integrity can also be where you know what your friend is doing wrong and you tell him, don't be like Adam. Well, you tell him no. Don't be like Adam to follow your friend into the wrongdoing. Adam knew God. He talked to God. He walked with God. He was the first man to walk the earth and talk to God and walk with him. He still did not have the integrity to tell Eve that eating the fruit was wrong. Instead of having integrity for God, he simply followed Eve and fell right into sin with her. How can we have integrity? Integrity is a very important thing. In my experience in the Army, you have to have integrity because you have established trust in your battle buddies. How can you trust a liar on the battlefield? Well, God can't trust a liar in our religious war we have here. You can't show up to church and say, hey God, I did my one day this week of having integrity. Integrity for God is a 24/7 job. Not I did it today, well I can skip tomorrow. Think about it this way. God says, hey, think about it this way. God say, hey, the sun rose today, I think it should stay dark tomorrow. No, the sun will still come up. God doesn't say, hey, I rose the sun up today, I'm going to leave it out tomorrow. No, God's going to rise the sun no matter what, because that's God having integrity, knowing that we need sunlight to live. So God's not going to say, hey, I did it this day of the week, I'm not going to do it the rest of the day. So why should we say, hey God, I simply followed you for one day, but not the rest? That's not how God works. You have to trust. God is not something you can do one day. It's something you can follow one day and expect to get into heaven. It's a 24/7 job. And as Christians, we got to do that. So where does integrity get you with God? Well, for Job, his integrity got him. Job 42:10. And the Lord turned the captivity of George. Whoop, my bad. My apologies. Let me repeat that. Job 42:10. And the Lord turned the captivity of Job when he prayed for his friend. Also, the Lord gave Job twice as much as he had before. So here we read that God gave Job twice as much as he had lost. But for us, if we have integrity, we get eternal life with God. Not only did Job get twice as much as he had before, he got a new family, he got all of his friends and family back, he got everything back. John 3:36. He that believeth on the Son have everlasting life. He that believeth not on the Son shall not see life, but the wrath of God abideth on him. In other words, saying if you don't believe in Jesus Christ, you don't have integrity for God, you will go to hell. If you believe in God, you have integrity for him, you believe that he sent his Son to die on that cross for us, you will go to heaven. But having the integrity to admit it. Having integrity is not something you should do just because you can. You should do it because it establishes trust in people and allows people to trust in you. Would you trust a liar? So would God trust a liar in heaven? Ask yourself, how can I have integrity for God? How can I better my relationship with him? Do I have integrity with God? Refer back to the story of Job and see all the integrity he showed for God when he had nothing and God showed him favor in the end. So this entire sermon is about having integrity. I wrote this sermon, I gave it at church. That's everything I wrote. I'm adding a second part to it that's gonna come later next Tuesday. But I was writing this sermon because I could feel that like nobody in this world has integrity today. Nobody has enough courage to say I did that. So in order to make a difference, I have to be the person to say, hey, we gotta make a difference today. So I gave this sermon, and my mom, she cried in the stands. I had a lot of people come to me and say it was a good sermon, but you don't really know how your sermons affect people at the end of the day. And I hope this reaches somebody that needs to hear it. I hope that everyone who needs to see this sees this, because not only is this message powerful, but pointed in the right direction, it can change the world. We just have to believe that. And with that, I'm gonna head off and sign out. And I'm gonna catch you guys next Tuesday with the sermon, What If You Don't Have Integrity? What happens when you don't have integrity? Stay tuned. Come next Tuesday. I should have it out. If I don't, it's because I had a lot of stuff happen in the week. I'm sorry. This army stuff gets busy. But I'm going to try to post every week. And this is the new Parz-ival. I am going to be changing the name. It's no longer going to be Parz-ival. It's going to be Tuesdays with God. And I'll catch you guys in the next video.